How's everyone doing? Hey, good to see you. So I realize that I am keeping you all from the networking cocktail hour in 30 minutes. So I will definitely be brief. So the question was posed to me, does scale work with SANs? Yes. Thank you. Enjoy your cocktail hour. No, I'm serious. And this is something that I want to interact with you all through the entirety of this session. I want to show you how it works. I want to talk about the problems that we have. And then also, I want you to realize it too. So can everyone repeat this after me, please? Does scale work with SANs? Thank you. So specifically, we've got this really fun name, SANs and Scale Computing Platform. Get the best of both worlds, performance, scalability, and simplicity. When we're going through this is actually a result of a talk with one of you all. So we were actually on a customer call, specifically our CPL, Scott Loftmiller, and he was asking about, okay, so why aren't you going with scale computing? Well, it's because you don't work with SANs. Well, does scale work with SANs? Yes, thank you. So want to make sure that it's understood. And so as we're going through this presentation, the idea behind this kind of morphed from a few different titles. It morphed from the fact that title right there, but originally it was Scale Computing loves SANs. We work with SANs, it's great. Fantastic. Or my personal favorite, if you're not into the whole brevity thing, Dr. Storage-Love, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the SAN. So 2 points to this. I want you all to leave this talk understanding the current landscape, why it got to this place right now where we have to repeat multiple times, does scale work with SANs? And then also how we best work. Like, what are the commonalities between where we're going to work on the HCI layer and then where we're going to connect in at the SAN layer itself. So current situation, storage area networks have been a foundational tool. I mean, this is something that enterprise storage has used. It's been used for highly performant storage. It's been used for mission critical applications. And many organizations have made investments. So number of customers have come to us and just said, hey, I've got an ROI that I got to worry about. I've got a lease that I got to worry about. And so specifically there, these are systems that are still available. They're still reliable. They've still got performance associated with them. So when I look at those 4 areas, let's talk about 3 of them. Easy. Rising maintenance costs. HCI and scale, check that box. Complex management and skills. Check, scale. And then the last one that we can check off very quickly is scalability, performance, and bottlenecks. Check. So where are we going to kind of focus and where we want to make sure you get value is kind of that vendor lock-in piece. If you're stuck or if you've got extra equipment, we want to, again, make sure that you're able to use it because guess what? Does scale work with SANs? Thank you. Here's the issue. I've been in virtualization, either selling, promoting, or being a technologist for it for 20 years. And I have either been in one of these 2 camps, traditional or hyperconverged. And the going story for that when it comes to SAN is, if I'm selling VMware, you better buy a SAN. You got to buy a SAN. You need a SAN. If you're selling hyperconverged at any of our friends, they're going to tell you, no, you should never, ever use a SAN. Which is why we want to make sure that this is knocked out because a SAN will work with this environment. But I apologize. I was part of the problem. So this is part of my penance to be up here telling you and asking for your forgiveness. So with us, you're talking about 2 key areas, cost efficiency and enhanced flexibility. Now, I'm not going to read these 2 because it's actually a lot simpler. With cost efficiency, let scale computing manage the VMs that don't require expensive SANs. Point blank. And with enhanced flexibility, save the SAN for the few VMs that require high performance, high capacity, the potential for backup, given the fact that we've got many backup friends here right now and there's been big backup announcements. But if you hear nothing else, if you want to leave right now early for that cocktail hour, don't miss this slide. Please. So, point 2, leveraging SANs with scale computing. What we're looking at, first of all, is when we leverage SANs together, when we're looking and talking to customers, when we've got specific partners that talk with us, they're really coming at it from 3 key areas. Those 3 key areas are around maximizing those investments. So what I talked about earlier, you've got vendor lock-in, or you've already made a purchase, or you've got a decent SAN that's still working. We also want to make sure that potentially there's a data management issue. There's a centralized data management issue. You don't want data sprawl like you might potentially have had to deal with VM sprawl in the past. And then, most importantly, again, back to my point around some of our friends regarding the backup solutions that we have partnered with, but also the backup vendors that have made announcements this week. We want to ensure that any time that you're doing backups, whether you're an MSP, you're a partner, you're a customer, you've got an enhanced backup solution that works well. And you can use a SAN for that too. You don't have to throw the SAN out. So what that looks like is this. Again, my apologies for number 1. My apologies for promoting number 2. Way it should look, if we're talking today, what you can do on the truck right now is right there, number 3, where you've got scale, specifically with a node attached through the network that handles VM compute, VM storage, and memory. But you still got that SAN that can tie in with that VM in order to make everything work well together. Because, and the reason why we can do this so well, is SCRIBE. SCRIBE is the evolution of what SAN technology is. It's better than SAN technology because it takes all of the efficiencies that were kind of there and it automates it. It takes all of the technologies that were kind of there and improves upon them, such as change block tracking, such as blocks in general, such as the ability to stripe and mirror in a seamless way. So complex LUN management, specific zoning, things associated with SAN administration even, you don't have to worry about that because it's built right in. And again, the other benefit of SCRIBE, if we're talking about this and we're looking at this and we're thanking our engineers, whom I see here in the room, we've got an enhanced system reliability because there's a few of us, and I'm sorry that I'm one of them, who can remember before there were SCRIBE, and you don't want to remember that. So some of the methods, and I've already touched upon this a little bit, on how we leverage existing is, number 1, you're going to want a direct access. There's something on that LUN that needs to have access from the VM layer. Typically, you're going to look at that as a very much an extreme. Tim LaPlante, in the DR session that was just a little while ago, talked about how you would never, ever, 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 ever think about putting high availability, fault tolerance DR on every single one of your VMs. The same's true here. Why in the world would you ever put every single one of your VMs in the most highly performant, most highly expensive area possible? You just would not do that from a DR perspective, nor would you do that from a SAN perspective. So with that, most likely most of you who have experience with this or are looking at getting experience with this are going to build in a hybrid storage environment where most of it, 90+%, if you still got a SAN, is going to be on scale, and the rest is going to be specific to that SAN, depending on what your need is. And again, it depends because you still got that option of number 3, backup and recovery. Because SAN is still going to be a storage repository. It's still going to be useful. It's still going to be something that can be, thanks to, again, the wonderful announcement and partnerships of our friends in that platform this week, something that you can use for backup and recovery. So leverage it for each. Oh, and how does it work? Does Scale work with SANS? Thank you, because it works well. What you're talking about are 3 different ways to configure that take 2 steps. I was going to show you this in a little bit. I was going to connect into my environment and set up an entire demo for you, but then I realized it was 5 screenshots. So I'm like, why would I even need to do that? So as part of this, I want to show you how it works. But truly what you're talking about is if you need to configure a SAN, you're going to configure it for iSCSI or NFS, first off. Number 2, you do what you would expect to do, connect. And in fact, if you're using the latest Windows iSCSI initiators, you don't even need to do that. iSCSI's discoverable by default. So it makes it really, really easy. And then, the only other thing that you need to do is add the storage. And you can add the storage, and now you're talking about doing things that are really advanced, such as, hey, what if you wanted to add mirrored storage? What if you wanted to add dynamic storage? What if you wanted to extend your LUNs out even further and get more storage for a specific drive? What if you wanted to leverage this as a Windows backup utility in order to be able to take more storage that is not supposed to be available and now is available because the Windows is connected to iSCSI and through the LUNs? All of that is now easily able and accessible because of the fact that this just works. So to that point, here's my very in-depth demo that I spent many, many hours on that is actually just a few slides. I mean, I tried to make it difficult. I really did, but it's not. The whole idea here is that I set up a specific environment. I set up a Windows server, and then I set up a pure storage device with the E's as 3s. Sorry, I could not afford a full-fledged pure storage device, but basically what I was able to do was set up a Windows device right there that I named Pure Storage. Within it, I set up a number of different LUNs just directly from within 2022. It was not hard. It was 5 steps for me to be able to do that through the iSCSI initiator as part of the dashboard within Server Manager. And then from there, literally the key that I found with setting this up was that I wanted to make this discoverable. The initiator itself with a specific IP address value that anything that is on the network, whether it's a specific Windows machine or something else, can go out and find very, very easily without any access issues or without any worries about defaults. So when I did that, it was a breeze. I'd actually set aside an entire Friday afternoon to do the demo, and I was done just after lunchtime because I popped it in, set it up, and I'm like, oh, that's it? So it made for a very, very straightforward connection where when I went into my specific server, it already was there for me to connect because it was already discovered. And then it's just a disk management issue at that point. And I will not show you all and insult you by showing you a disk management demo. Now, with this, I'm kind of coming to the end because the idea here is that this is supposed to be simple. So as part of my extended demo, I actually wrote a PowerShell script and a Python script that will automatically add a specific LUN to a specific set of servers. If you want to use these, they'll be posted to the community site, but that's how easy it is. For each of these different scripts that I was able to write, it is literally 2 prompts. You can see there you've got a mount point, you've got the portal and the IQN. That's all you really have to worry about. Now you can add in extra stuff such as file system if you wanted to, or prefix. But really, I set these up too, specifically the Python one, just in case you're running in Linux and you want to leverage the technology specifically within an Ubuntu server or another Linux server. So those will be available. Shameless plug, if you aren't using the community site, or if you aren't actively going out and looking for some of the things that either your partners or your peers are doing from within their own environments, please leverage that. We've got an entire community site built out, and we're going to continue to build it out with content. Some of the content that I'll be developing, such as these two things, and then other content that many other much smarter people than myself have already developed around Ansible, around containers, around the ability to set up APIs such as lifecycle APIs. Heck, we were actually, for those of you that were in the advanced training yesterday, we were able to do an advanced training in that room right over there. And there's a question that came out, and the question was, hey, how do I do an auto update from within the API? And literally, we were able to go and create that script within Python within a matter of minutes, just because it's really straightforward to leverage the tools that you have, and the work that engineering has done to open up and make things more extensible and make things such that you can be as simple as you want with the interface, or you can be as complex as you want with the tools here, knowing that it's going to work. Because does scale work with Sans? That wasn't loud enough. Come on. Does scale work with Sans? Thank you. So to sum up, when we're talking about benefits, and I'm intentionally ending a little bit early because I want to make sure that there's time for Q&A. We've got a lot of people here that are curious on this topic. So to sum up, some of the key benefits of leveraging Sans with us. You're going to extend your investment. That's a key benefit that you're going to be able to talk to anyone about, anyone within your organization. You're going to have the ability to enhance data and VM management. I mean, specifically, you've still got the ability to leverage the UI. You've still got the ability to leverage the APIs. And you've got the ability to have all the benefits of scale within your environment. That's just going to extend out to the SAN, because that storage flexibility that you get as well is going to be paramount to the experience that you've already had. And with that, the disaster recovery that's going to come with it as well. If you tie this in with backups, if you tie this in with proper setup of mirrored devices or proper redundant devices, you're going to have a very robust backup environment for handling this from an archive perspective, or handling this for high performant environments. So, and that does bring up something really interesting. Typically, you're going to see this on a spectrum. I've talked a little bit about the fact that this can be very much in a high-performant environment, but we have customers today that are leveraging cloud storage that specifically have the ability to connect similar to the cloud storage as you just saw here from within this environment. And we're talking cloud caching all the way to tape drive in the sky type of cloud storage that works great with us. So if you're ever thinking about, hey, I've got way too much storage for scale computing, it's not possible. It's really not, because of the partnerships that we have and because of what we've seen out in the marketplace. So always the why. You got to end with a why. Why leverage your SAN with us? Well, obviously because it works, but also because it is cost effective. You aren't looking to throw out your SAN to purchase more hardware. You're leveraging what you already have and you're extending it out. The management is simple. You're using what you already have, and you're leveraging the simple management interface that our engineers have put a lot of hard work into. Really, really appreciate that. And then last but not least, so we have time for questions, it's scalable. This is set up to be scalable. So with that, you can grow to the needs that you have. You can go into the cloud if you need to, still leveraging HC3 and HyperCore and platform and scale as the edge or as your core. But you can still go and leverage existing hardware as you need it as well. So specifically with that, thank you very much. Does scale work with SANs? Yes. Thank you so much.